We're back. It's Friday, June 20th. This is the 14th episode of Flight Path. I'm Andrew Duhan. Joined alongside me is my electric co-host. Some of you guys know him as J-Ben. Find him on X at JBen underscore Flight Path. If you want to talk your shit, no playing victim when he claps back. Got another tight agenda for you guys. But before we even dive into that, just want to thank all of our listeners, subscribers. Seriously, we only go as far as you guys take us. If you don't like it, we'll stop. So seriously, really appreciate all your guys' support. Jeff, let's go straight into it. I want to talk about Jessie Bates and the leadership that he's been showing since Grady Jarrett left. So after Jarrett left, he's been kind of like the defensive stalwart in the building, the captain. I think a few players like Bates were asked to step up and take up a leadership role, and I think he's doing it with flying colors, helping out the rookies, going into all of these different meeting rooms outside of his position group. So he's been a captain since he joined the Falcons back in 2023. He's been an All-Pro twice in his career. Obviously was in the Super Bowl with Cincinnati back in 2021. Jeff, could this be GM Terry Fontenot's best signing since he joined the Falcons?
Oh, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any doubt about that one, right? Like we can talk about all the guys that he's let walk. You mentioned Grady Jarrett. There have been some others, and but when you look at when you kind of look at the additions, Jessie Bates has been more than I think any of us could have hoped for. He came over here. You just mentioned he came over here from Cincinnati. He played in that Super Bowl with them, and you never know what you're going to get with guys. And we see it all the time. Guys go to new teams and they aren't what they were, or they go to new teams and they absolutely explode. And you're looking at a guy here who, he was the All-Pro or the Pro Bowler back in 2023, his first year here in Atlanta. Didn't get back there last year, which is kind of weird because, I thought he was really good last year. I mean, his stats kind of tailored off a little bit last year, and maybe by a little bit, that's probably being really nice. But dude still had 4 picks last year, and he is the leader of that defense. And I think even with Grady here, he'd still be taking that leadership role. I mean, you're looking at a guy that's entering year 3 with this franchise, and that's he's what is this going to be year, I think 8 for him overall. So it's a guy who's kind of still in his prime, maybe kind of on the backside of his prime type of thing. When you look at a guy that's going to be 28 this year, which is really weird to say that a guy at 28 may be on the backside of their prime, but it's the NFL. The amount of minutes and plays that these guys, do or take every single week, and the amount of hits they take, and or in his case, the amount of hits that he gives, right? So it's I think when you lose a guy like Grady and what he meant to that locker room, we're fortunate to have a guy like Jessie Bates who can kind of step in there, and a guy that has the respect of every single person in that locker room, a guy that is well loved with the fans. And not that that means much in regards to what we're talking to, but again, a guy that's loved inside, outside that locker room in the city. And he's starting to really embrace what it means to be a Falcon. And so, yeah, for me, I love the fact that he's starting to take some of these young guys under the wings. He understands what that role means in year 8. And he understands that if this team is going to get back to the playoffs for the first time since 2017, it's going to take leadership to get that done. It's going to take guys doing things that they haven't been doing in order to accomplish that goal. So I love that he's doing that. And when you look across the league, we can name a whole lot of dudes, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, and the list goes on. Those are just the first 2 that didn't want to play that role. They didn't want to be that veteran who took the young guys under their wings. And he's like, hell no, Brett, we need these guys, right? We need them to be successful. So I love that he's doing that. He's not afraid that somebody's going to come in and take his spot. Jessie, to me, comes across as one of those guys where if you can come in and beat him out, he will shake your hand and he will do whatever he can to make sure you're successful. And so that's the kind of guy you want in your locker room. And, on previous episodes, we've talked about a guy like Jalen Ramsey and what he would mean to that locker room. Does Jessie Bates have the ring? No. He's played in the Super Bowl, though. He's an 8-year vet like we've talked about. He brings all of those intangibles, and it's really great to see him say, you know what? I got this, y'all. If we're going to take the next step, jump on these shoulders and let's go ride this thing out.
He hasn't won a Super Bowl, but as you said, played in one. So when we get into the playoff atmosphere, right, he can go and tell the, defensive lineman or, the whole defensive unit, hey, this is different now. Crowd's going to be different. This is what to expect. He's not only played in a Super Bowl, but more importantly, like he's played playoff games on the road. Like he knows what that's about. And for a team as young as ours, having as many pieces like that, whether it's Leonard Floyd, whether it's Jessie Bates, we need more of those types of people in the locker room because the environment is different. Go look at what happened when Matt Ryan went into Arizona in his first playoff game. He was kind of shook, and he played actually pretty well. We were in that game, but had he had the experience, I think we could have probably knocked out Arizona that year. So having people like that, Jeff, like Jessie, is absolutely crucial for us and to have playoffs, because I don't want to just get in the playoffs and get knocked out in the wild card round. We need to make some noise here too. If we get in there, we better get to divisional conference championship. I don't want to just be one and done this year as well. One more point. You mentioned Jessie Bates being in the back end of his prime. Perhaps he was more athletic, 2 or 3 years ago. But here's the thing, Jeff. Last year, he was the only player in the NFL who had at least 4 picks and four forced fumbles. Now, he hasn't improved. He's probably going to have an improved pass rush. So, do you think that maybe he won't be in as good as he was 2 or 3 years ago, but could he have a better statistical year? Could he have an first team all-pro type of year next year?
I can see the comments now, by the way, right? Like, we're not shitting on Jessie, and we're not telling you that he's at the end of his career. That's not what we're saying at all. But at year 8, this is a guy that has not missed, he's missed one game his entire career, right? Out of a possible 114 games, he's played 113 of them and started all 113. That's a lot of minutes. That's a lot of wear and tear on somebody's body. So, look, we're not telling you he's at the end of his career. We're not telling you that this is a guy that is trying to hang on. That's not what we're saying. So save the fucking comments because I know they're coming, right? What we're saying is year 8 in a league where the average guy only lasts 4 years, right? Like, there's a reason that in order to get to the NFL retirement fund, you've got to play, 4 seasons and 1 game? Or is it 3 years and 1 game? Whatever it is, right? Because guys don't last that long. And we're talking about a guy here in year 8 and a guy that's played a lot of football. So, like, save the bullshit comments for that. I know it's coming, right? But ultimately, again, kind of going back to that, we've got a guy, a safety in year 8 who plays really good football. And even if he takes a step back, let's say he doesn't get 4, 5, 6 interceptions, because you're looking at a guy who all but 1 year of his career has had at least 3, right? The loan was 2021 when he only had 1, but the last 3 years, 4, 6, 4. Like, he's one of the better ball hawking safeties in the NFL. And to me, even if he takes a step back and let's say he only gets 3 or he only gets 2, I think with the other intangibles that he brings, he can still affect the game like he could if he was intercepting 6 balls like he did 2 years ago. It's a guy that we watch, and if you watch the Falcons, you talked about it. Here with the Falcons, 10 picks, 7 forced fumbles in 2 years. That's fucking unbelievable, right? And so, he has set the bar up here. And we like, I know, Andrew, I know you live out there in California, but here in Atlanta, we're fucking unrealistic about everything, right? Like, one guy has a really good year, a really good couple of years, and all of a sudden he takes a step back like you're talking about. Oh, shit, he's trash. Oh, my God, get that bum off the field, right? I've watched it for 20 years that I've been here, 25 years that I've been here. And that's, to me, just not the case. Holy shit, I've been here for 30. Sorry. But I've watched it, right? I've lived it. I've covered it. And to me, if he does take a step back and he only gets 2 interceptions and he only forces 2 fumbles, that's still a really productive year for any safety, let alone for me what Jessie Bates means. Because again, we're talking about the other intangibles. So for me, even if he does take a step back, he's still going to impact a game every single week. You still have to, I don't care what offense we're playing, whether it's going to be Josh Allen and the Bills or Brock Purdy in the 49ers or anybody within the division, you still have to game plan for what Jessie Bates brings to the game. You still have the game plan, and you still have to count for him on every single snap of the football. And that is something that statistics will never be able to show you.
Great point. And what I'm most excited about, Jeff, we've been so bad passing rushing the passer, right? Now we're going to have that improved pass rush. Does that lead to more quick throws that could potentially be interceptions for Jessie? We'll see. But he's in the third year of a 4-year, $64 million deal. Again, we were talking about, this being Terry's best move. Perhaps this might be the best free agent acquisition we've had ever. I mean, go back, think about it. Alex Mack was one that comes to mind too. But then when you think about other people we acquired, we got him through trades. Like, we traded for John Abraham. We traded for Tony Gonzalez. Like, I can't think of someone we just signed, from another team as good as Bates was. Mack, obviously, very important too. He's up there. But, maybe someone in the comments could drop that in. I think if he has another good year, Jeff, perhaps we extend him too. I think this is a big year. And that's probably, he's probably motivated by the money too. If he shows that he's a leader, like, this extension could be that last big money deal for him.
When you look across the NFC South, there's two moves that come to mind that really have stood out the last couple of years as far as free agent acquisitions. Okay. Baker Mayfield to Tampa. They were that post Tom Brady. They didn't know what they were going to do. Baker comes in, and now they are they come in. Baker comes in. All of a sudden now, they look like they are able to compete. This, to me, Jessie Bates signing by the Falcons is a bigger acquisition than Baker was for Tampa. And I think that says something, right? Because again, that is something, the way he has affected this defense, the way that, he has carried that defense, is equal, if not better than the way Baker has carried Tampa over the last couple of seasons. So for me, it's been that great of a signing.
Yeah, and we know how strongly you feel about Baker. So the fact that you're, pinning up Bates' signing with Baker, that should speak volumes to our listeners that are, that have been with us for a while. I mean, Mayfield has really, come in, and he was kind of rejected around the league, right? Like, Cleveland chose to go with Watson over him. Then he bounces around, goes to Carolina, gets cut by Carolina midseason, ends up with McVay. Only he had like 3 days to prepare for a game, and he was able to pull that off and pull off a win with barely knowing the playbook. Lands in Tampa after Brady retires, and he's been really solid. To our detriment, he's been very solid for them.
He has, and I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, right? So when he signed with Tampa, I was pissed because I can't root for him, right? Like, I can't hope that he has great seasons. But, in the post Tom Brady and what was it, 2 or 3 years in Tampa, it wasn't that long. But kind of post Tom Brady, they changed coaching staffs. They changed, basically everybody. And here you were. How are we going to get back on top? You insert Baker, and he's been really good for them. Again, I would argue that Jessie Bates has been that guy for us. And so for me, kind of given where these two franchises have been, one has won a Super Bowl in the last 5 years. The other one hasn't even made the playoffs. For me, that's why for me, Jesse's a much more important signing than Baker has been for them.
Yeah, not only they've won a Super Bowl in the past 5 years, Jeff, but they've been the division champs, I think 4 years in a row now, or maybe 3 years. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, because the year that they won the Super Bowl, I think they were a wild card team, and then every year after the Super Bowl, they've been pretty much, running away with the division. So hopefully we put an end to that, Jeff.